Shi Shi Etko is about a little girl who has to go to a residential school in Canada. I'm going to read you the foreword from the book. This story is about a little native girl named Shi Shi Etko, which means she loves to play in the water. Shi Shi Etko's people have always lived in North America, hunting, fishing, and gathering traditional foods and medicines, making their own clothing and building their own houses, making their own rules and taking care of their traditional territories, telling stories, singing, and dancing. Native children were loved so much that the whole community raised them together. Parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, cousins, and elders. But now Shi Shi Etko has to go to Indian residential school. It is the law. The school is far away from her home, and she will have to travel for a couple of days to get there. Once she arrives at school, she won't see her parents for many months or even years. She will lose her traditional name, and she will be forced to speak English, a language that she doesn't know. For a long time, the Canadian government believed that Native people were uncivilized and made laws forcing Native children as young as 4, although generally between the ages of 5 and 6, to go to residential schools to learn European culture and religion. Parents were put in jail if they didn't send their children to these schools. Can you imagine a community without children? Can you imagine children without parents? Residential schools had a huge impact on Native people around the world, not only in Canada, but in the United States, Australia, and New Zealand as well. They resulted in a devastating loss of Native traditions, languages, and cultures. The last residential school in Canada closed in 1984. The effects of the residential school system continue to hurt Native people today. It is said that it will take 7 generations for our people to heal. Shi Shi Etko by Nicola I. Campbell. 1, 2, 3, 4 mornings left until I go to school, said Shi Shi Etko as she watched sunlight dance butterfly steps across her mother's sleeping face. When streams of light sent shadows across her mother's cheek, she said, "Mom, wake up. It's time for us to bathe down by the creek." Her mother blinked. "You woke early today, Shi Shi Etko," she said, swinging her feet to the floor. With the first steps of sunrise, Shi Shi Etko skipped along the warm path through cottonwood trees all the way to the creek. "My girl, we will not see each other until the wild roses bloom in the spring and the salmon have returned to our river. I want you to remember the ways of our people. I want you to remember our songs and our dances, our laughter and our joy. And I want you to remember our land." Then her mother began to sing. Her voice traveled from tree to tree, flowing through the valley, caught by the wind, carried on the wings of eagles in flight. Shi Shi Etko could not help herself. She looked at everything: tall grass swaying to the rhythm of the breeze, determined mosquitoes, working bumblebees. She memorized each shiny rock, the sand beneath her feet, crayfish and minnows and tadpoles that squirmed beneath her toes, all at the bottom of the creek. They were almost home when cousins, aunties, and uncles and the rhythmic tap of Yaya's old cedar cane could be heard through the trees. "Mother, Father, they're here!" Shi Shi Etko ran to greet her family. Sunlight, wood smoke, and scents of barbecued sockeye salmon filled the air. Dishes clattered, footsteps pitter-pattered, and the laughter echoed from tree to tree. Afterwards, in the late-night silence, tucked safely under Yaya's patchwork quilt, Shi Shi Etko counted her fingers. There are only 1, 2, 3 more sleeps until I go to school. In the morning, when Shi Shi Etko woke, the sky was changing from navy to brilliant blue. She lay listening to the cool autumn breeze sing morning songs. Soft drum heart beats. "Let's take the canoe out on the lake," said her father. Hand in hand they walked along the creek all the way to the lake. "My girl, these are the things you must always remember," he said, gesturing to the trees, mountains, and water around them. Together they picked up the canoe and carried it to the water's edge. With yellow cedar paddles, they strolled across smooth water. Reach, dip, pull, back. Reach, dip, pull, back. The only sounds they heard were the whistling birds and their paddles breaking the surface of the lake, surrounding them with ripples. Circle on, circle on, circle. Her father sang the paddle song that her grandfather used to sing. His voice traveled across the water, a chant that kept their pace. Shi Shi Etko could not help herself. She looked at everything. She tasted the rain that fell on her face. She listened as the water washed every rocky beach. And when Eagle's song echoed through the valley, traveling just beyond reach, she sang her grandfather's paddle song, and their voices echoed from beach to beach. In a day full of sunlight, Shi Shi Etko and her father returned to pack her things. Finally, in the silence of the night, belly full, huddled safely under Yaya's patchwork quilt, Shi Shi Etko counted her fingers. 1, 2, only 2 more sleeps, then fell into water-exhausted sleep. Shi Shi Etko was dreaming when she heard her Yaya say, "Shi Shi Etko, wake up, my girl. We have some things to do today." Yaya gave her a small bag made from soft, tanned deer hide and sinew. "This, my girl, is a bag for you to keep all your memories. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, remember to keep them safe." The sun wasn't up yet when they walked out the door and into the trees. The path was dark and smelled alive with rain, wet soil, and leaves. They walked until the sun was shining. Yaya brought her to visit a great big fir tree. Shi Shi Etko placed a sprig into her bag of memories. They visited a hemlock, a cedar, even a pine, and each time she placed a sprig into her bag of memories. They went to visit silver willow, red willow, sagebrush, cottonwood, Labrador bushes, and even kinnikinnick. They visited blueberry, salmonberry, Saskatoon, and huckleberry bushes. They found bitterroot, wild potato, and wild celery patches. On and on they went through fields of wild roses, Indian paintbrush, fireweed, and columbine. Shi Shi Etko promised herself, "I will remember everything." Each plant they came to, she listened carefully to its name, then asked once, twice, even 3 times, "Is it food or medicine, Yaya? Is it always safe?" Then whispering its name, she placed dried berry, root, flower, and fragrant leaf into her bag of memories. That night, when Shi Shi Etko crawled under her patchwork quilt, she counted her fingers and said, 1, only 1 more sleep. At home, the cattle truck that gathered children waited. Shi Shi Etko picked up her bag of memories, a pinch of tobacco for offering, then went out the back door to her favorite place, beneath a great big fir tree. She placed the tobacco at its base, then tucked her bag inside its roots. Dear Grandfather Tree, please keep my memories and my family safe. I will be home in the spring. Shi Shi Etko, come inside now. It's time for you to go. When they rattled down the dirt road and into the trees, Shi Shi Etko held a sprig of fir close to her heart. Shi Shi Etko could not help herself. She looked at everything. Tall grass swaying to the rhythm of the breeze, determined mosquitoes, working bumblebees. She memorized each shiny rock, the sand beneath her feet, crayfish and minnows and tadpoles that squirmed beneath her toes, all at the bottom of the creek.